Welcome to Lift Off with Energizing Results, the podcast that can help you become a better partner in your family and a self-propelled leader with inner certainty in your business. Now, here's your host, Uwe Daghorn.
Welcome to Lift Off with Energizing Results. Let me start with an invitation for you before we dive in. This is a safe and neutral space here. The more open and honest you answer the questions that will come up to yourself, the more effective this will be for you. Sound good? Okay, here we go.
Sounds great.
And wonderful. Yes. And today I'm very excited to introduce you to Louise Bedford. How are you doing, Louise? And where are you hanging out right now?
I'm great. I'm in Melbourne, Australia. We've just come out of lockdown, so I'm incredibly excited to break out into the world and to experience life again.
Well, I can feel the excitement already. So wonderful. So Louise Bedford is the founder of tradinggame.com.au. She is a best-selling author of 5 books on the stock market and a behavioral finance expert with degrees in psychology and business. And I think your mission to help people transform their lives using trading as a vehicle is remarkable and very inspiring. So I'm very thankful that I can talk to you today, Louise.
I'm just so happy to be here. A lot of your people, I'm sure, are going to have a lot of commonalities with my clients and also with me.
Wonderful. So shall we go to it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so who's your ideal client and what's the biggest challenge they face?
My ideal client would be somebody who's lived a bit of life already. They've had some obstacles and now they're looking for an alternative source of income to put them in the driver's seat so that they're in control and they can look at the trajectory of their life and make a choice. So often we are subject to the whims of a boss. Maybe it's even the whims of the spouse because we don't have the money to be able to say, I want to make these decisions. So by earning money out of the share market, earning money on stocks, you can actually open up choices in your life.
That sounds beautiful. And it hits really the nail that, also my clients face. As I mentioned earlier before we started this, so I work with high achiever families, mostly the VIPs, the very important partners. And one of my promises is to double their financial security. So we have a lot to talk about that in that regard, because it's really a good connection where I can see this can work for the whole family as a total. So what are common mistakes typically they make trying to solve that kind of problem?
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that the markets will be a get-rich-quick type of process where as soon as they begin, they're going to just take off and then they're going to buy New Zealand by the end of the week. It doesn't work that way. This is a business. It appeals to people who have got that business mindset, who are already structured and somewhat routine. They know that success is a choice and that the work that you put in will sometimes pay off in a year, in 2 years. It may not even pay off the next week. So that's probably one of the biggest stumbling blocks people face when they first investigate the markets. They've believed the advertisements and they haven't actually internalized that this is a job and you have to focus, be dedicated and expect the results to come in down the track.
Commitment always helps, and you had me at buying New Zealand, so that advertisement is really kind of like, well, kind of like thinking like, wow, why not, right? Let's not hear that to the New Zealanders, right? All right. So before I ask Louise what is one valuable free action that our audience can easily implement, let me quickly say something to our audience here. So if you're enjoying the show so far, please rate and recommend us to someone you think could benefit from the show. Thank you in advance for spreading the word. So Louise, what is one valuable free action that our audience can implement that will help with that issue?
Look, I think we do have to be adults when it comes to talking about money. We have to raise uncomfortable issues. We have to sometimes raise areas that make us feel very awkward. Like I even just talked to my 18-year-old last night about making a will. I mean, he's 18, he's in perfect health, for goodness sake. But things like that, where if we can start early with our children and make sure that we cover off those difficult topics, that is something that everybody should be doing. You know, if you've got elderly parents, have you spoken to them about their wishes for their end of life? And it is a difficult thing to do. I do understand, but this sort of thing can save so many difficulties down the track. I lost my mother last year. It was such a difficult time for my family, my 3 sisters. But the good thing is we knew exactly how she wanted to go, what her minimum requirements were when she was in that hospital bed, you know, what really reserved that quality of life for her, what meant a good time for her and what didn't. And now that she's passed, we've been able to negotiate quite easily with all of the things we've had to navigate around her estate. So as a bit of a takeaway, I know it's not quite to do with the stock market, but it's definitely to do with money. Have that discussion. Start with your children. If you do have children, start when they're really young so they can start to visualize some of these key issues, and make sure you tick those boxes with anybody that is going to end up in your care down the track.
That's a very important point. And you're already increasing my goosebumps level, because unfortunately my mom died in 2016, 6 days before Christmas. So we're getting closer to that date. And so I can absolutely sympathize with that. And also we also made, arrangements before that, luckily, because otherwise there would be just a chaos after that. So money is always an issue in a family from that perspective. So it's really good that you have that perspective to help them right. Your kids, your children, they're growing up, and, they experience that as well, of course, and then being part of that's part of life, but also the consequences, the unwanted consequences of that, and to prepare them for life. I think in that regard, you're doing a great service. So thank you for sharing for this beautiful
and
advice.
There's even a concept that the Dutch implement called a death clean. And over the age of 60, I mean, certainly it's kind of a morbid conversation, isn't it, to have, that over the age of 60, you look at your house and you work out, okay, are all of my records in order? Do I have a list of all of the people that need to be contacted? Do I have my passwords locked away in a safe that somebody has the combination to? Are there aspects there that I can do to make it easier to pass on whatever is left behind when we leave this world?
Well, you're raising an important point, and me, it's my claim is always about liberating lifestyle. So I look at from the part of what is the liberating aspect here, and the liberating aspect of dealing with these issues is that you feel prepared, and this is liberating, and you just take care of it right now, then it's done. When something happens, you never know, but it's liberating for that matter. And you can thank yourself, after the fact. So I think it's really good that we're raising these kind of questions. So thank you.
And the same goes if you've got a business partner. For a partnership that's outside of the family, that is also an issue. So my business partner is Chris Tate. He's a big, bald fellow. He's got an extra decade under his belt compared to me. And that has just been such a seamless business partnership because we have raised some of these difficult issues. We are running our mentor program. This will be our 22nd year of running it together. So you can see that it does actually sow the seeds of longevity if you can have these difficult conversations.
Wonderful. No, I agree totally. Thank you. So what is one valuable free resource that you can direct people to that might help with that issue, maybe also in a broader sense?
Yeah, well, look, I'm sure a lot of your people would be interested in trading. I just love trading and investing the markets. I've been trading since 1990, so it has definitely been a major part of my life. My children have never seen parents who have a job, who have a real job, we call it. They've only seen traders in the home. So to have my husband alongside me to be a full-time trader is very important to me. The resource that I'd suggest people would like to investigate is to come and meet me at tradinggame.com.au and download my free trading plan template. So that will take you through all of the aspects that you need to be able to write your own trading plan, which is like a business plan. You need to have all of these aspects of business ticked off before you decide to open doors. Same with trading the markets. And you'll also pick up from tradinggame.com.au my free 5-part e-course called Trading Made Simple. And you'll be able to trade any market around the world. It is not Australia specific. And I know the German markets have got some beautiful edges there too. So if you've got hometown listening, then this would also be appropriate no matter where you are in the world.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. This is, of course, we put the link in the show description. And so you are kind of like a trading treasure chest. So, thank you for sharing these wonderful resources.
I think over the years, because I've been trading for so long and I've been looking after so many traders, it's just been such a major part of my life. And I actually do have a little story, Uwe, that perhaps I can share with you.
Sure.
One time when my little boy was about 7 years old, I remember when we had dinner that night, my husband and we had a glass of red wine, and I was so excited because we'd booked out our mentor program where we look after people to teach them how to trade. And I said to my little boy, "Why do you think Mum and Dad are so excited about everybody coming into our mentor program?" And he said, and I have to take a deep breath here because I do feel like I could lose it when it comes to emotion.
That's okay. We're okay on this.
Safe place. He said that because the people that you're going to teach can enjoy the things that I enjoy, and those children can have the things that I have. So that direct transmission of values from you and your partner to your children can form such a beautiful part of life where business and life totally dovetail in together. It doesn't have to be a choice. This work-life balance, there almost is no such thing. That combination can actually be a beautiful thing, and your children can emulate your highest values. I think that is really the goal for most business owners.
Beautiful story. You're already taking away my final question. Already having the goosebumps shiver right now. So what a beautiful moment you just shared with us. So brings me to my next question. What's the one question I should have asked you? And I can't wait to listen to that answer. That would be of great value to our audience.
The one question is, if you come from a damaged background, does that influence your future? And
That's
I'd like to give you, I'd like to give you a perspective on this, because I think a lot of people who've had an unhappy home life, who have been without money, maybe they've even been without food, that they think that that will replicate into the future, and that will end up stymieing their results in some way, the outcomes that they can achieve. But I do want to twist that around. I want you to know that if you have had that background where you have had a situation in your past that maybe you feel shame about, maybe it's something that is a bit of a secret that you're trying to hide, maybe it is something to do with your background where it's in your deep family history, I want you to know that you can overcome that you don't have to let those chains from the past continue into the future. And that is something that I think a lot of people use, not necessarily as an excuse, but more as a point of pain in their heart that they bring around with them. It blocks the light from the sun.
Very powerful perspective. So this is, it's so true. And it ties into what I call letting go, letting in part. So you don't only have to let go, you have to let in something else that is there waiting for you, and allow yourself to become, and addressing these kinds of issues is very important. And money is always an issue in families, no matter the level income a family has at its display, but it's always good to have that sense of like importance, that to connect with your family in that regard. So thank you for sharing this beautiful perspective. So, Louise, finale time. When was the last time you experienced goosebumps with your family, and why?
I know this is probably in chronological time, but it was a couple of nights ago. The four of us gathered in the laundry to see a sunset.
Yes.
We've got so many beautiful family moments that have occurred because we have been locked down for so very, very long. And it's surprising how the simplicity of those family moments has meant so much more to us than they usually would. I think we get so busy. We say yes when we really should be saying no. And sometimes those moments of quiet and those moments of connection can actually mean the most.
So true. Yeah. It's all about the goosebumps moments. Wonderfully put. And thank you for sharing this beautiful goosebumps moment. Also for the goosebumps I already had, when you talked the question before. So thank you for sharing, Louise. Thank you for our conversation. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I appreciate very much the knowledge and insights you shared with us today.
Absolutely. It's been so wonderful to hear your past episodes. You run a beautiful podcast. I run a podcast as well, and I find that sometimes that connection from so far away and throughout all of these kilometres that we're apart, it just doesn't matter at all, does it, when you have your heart in the right place? It's been wonderful, Uwe.
Oh, thank you. You're too kind. And it's really a pleasure having you here on the show. And I think we already grow closer, despite the distance in kilometers or miles. So thank you for being here today, Louise.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening. And as always, energizing results to you and your loved ones.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and recommend on Apple Podcast, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more great information at uvedockhorn.com.